Hello guys, so I'm back with the series where we are discussing IPR and Cyber Law Paper Solution 2016. As you can see here, my name is Tiruk Parmar. Basically, these lectures are dedicated to T.Y B.Sc IT students, semester 6, subject IPR and Cyber Law. Now, in last 2 to 3 lecture, we already discussed question 1 and its 4 sub-questions. In this lecture, we are going to start our discussion with question number 2, and in that first sub-question, where the question asked like explain the procedure for registration of domain name. So before start discussing with this question, let's just discuss what is domain name. Basically, we have IP address allotted to each and every website. Now it is very difficult for human beings to remember those numbers. Like we can't remember each and every person's mobile number, sorry. So what we do, we add some name over that mobile number. The same way, it is not easy task, or it is very difficult for us to remember each and every IP address of each and every website. So what basically process goes on is we add domain name on that IP address with the process called as DNS. You must have studied in Linux administration Sem 5 subject. So DNS stands for domain name system, where we basically bind domain name with an IP address. So here we are not going to discuss in detail about domain name. We'll just discuss the solution for this question. So as I have provided solution here, first, domain name registration process, how it goes. So basically we should know there is one international organization who look after all the allotments of domain, and that organization is named as ICANN, or the full form is Internet Corporation for Assigning Names and Numbers. Remember, assigning names and numbers. Names means domain name, numbers means binding those domain names with some IP addresses. So it is ICANN. It is an international organization which look after domain names allotment, and if someone misuses those domain names, like for example, if we talk about Microsoft, it is a real case where someone registered the Microsoft.com domain just by some changes, like Microsoft, as we know in soft, it is a spelling SOFT. So instead of writing SOFT, one person registered a Microsoft domain name with S0FT. So it is purely violation under ICANN's UDRP, Uniform Dispute Resolution Policy. We'll discuss in some other question about those dispute resolution policy as well. For like if I can allot some domain name to any person, and if that domain name goes in a dispute, then how to resolve those disputes. We'll discuss in some other lecture. Now just discuss about this domain registration process. So basically ICANN is responsible, but it is an international organization. So for ICANN, it is not possible to look after allotment of domain name to each and every individual. So what they do, they basically give permission to country level to it basically transfer its power, some of its power to country, and then those country level of like for some powers are basically derived or inherited from ICANN. India inherited some power from ICANN, and now India will allow some of the reseller in India. For example, GoDaddy or Google, these all are reseller who basically certified domain reseller in India. The registrar will check the domain name available. For example, if we sign up with Gmail or Yahoo or Rocketmail or any other email based services, so whenever we register there, we try to ask them for some email ID which we find better for us. But if that email ID is not available, then they will suggest us some new email ID. So how they basically find whether that email ID is available or not? With the help of email registry, where all the email are already registered there. The same way we have domain registry. So whoever register one domain on their name, that domain registry maintains all the record for those domains. So in case if we try to ask for a domain which is already registered, then they will suggest us some new option, or we have to go for some other domain names. Remember, domain registry, it is purely responsible. We'll just look out in this diagram for better understanding. So here we have registrant. Registrant means end user like us. Then we have some reseller. So these are end customer who register domain names. So how they can register domain name? For example, if I want a domain name tirupparmar.com, so I'm a registrant. I'll ask for this domain name to reseller. Reseller means I'll go and approach GoDaddy. So register on behalf of registrar, but have no contractual relation with ICANN. For example, web hosting companies. So GoDaddy does not have direct any relation. So how they basically derive that power? They have registrars. So ICANN accredited organization that process for the registration. Now, whether the demanding, for example, if I'm asking for tirupparmar.com, so whether that domain is available or not, how they basically going to identify? With the help of registry operator. They keep the authoritative master database registry of all domain name registered for each top level domain. So what is authoritative server? Now it is not possible for me to revise everything, but in the topic in Sem 5 subject Linux administration, we studied one topic which is named as DNS, domain name system, and in that topic we already there are three types of DNS servers, that is primary, also called as master server, secondary called as slave server, and cache server. So primary, under primary we have one subtype, that is authoritative server. So authoritative server look after whether the domain which we are demanding is provided or whether it is available or not with the help of domain registry. So as you can see, we have some locker kind of a system where they are going to segregate .com types of domains, .in types of domain, .org types of domain, .edu, .org, and out of this list, if I demand for tirupparmar.com, then this first section maintains all the .com types of domains. So this registry operator will just verify whether this type of domain is already allotted to someone or not. If it is not allotted to someone, then I'm free to use that particular domain, or I'm ready to register that particular domain on my email ID. Remember, email ID. We register domain name with the help of email ID. And here we have, and last, ICANN, that is non-profit corporation for domain name system management. Now, if you know about current events, then ICANN, there are many issues going on that ICANN is not handling this task properly. And in 2013, India also approached to take authority of this organization where India is going to manage, but it is still pending issue. So let's just start discussing the same. So domain name registry process. First is the registrar. A registrant is a person or organization who has registered the domain name. Then second is registrar, an organization accredited by ICANN, a certified registry. It is called as, they are bound by the registrar accreditation agreement with ICANN. So they are certified reseller, we can say. Rest of the things are simple. You can just read those things. Next is reseller. As I said, so those certified people, they're going to allow some other resellers to distribute domain names as well. So that is the same thing given here. Then last is, while registrar are contracted to conduct day-to-day business selling domain, and the same things. I hope the topic DNS is clear. You just need to remember this particular diagram very properly. Just remember the sequence: registrant, end users, reseller, then how reseller gets authority from registrar. This registrar are officially certified people, okay, from ICANN. And how registrar look after which domain name we should allot to whom, and whether that domain name is already allotted or not, with the help of authoritative server, which is part of primary server. That is the theory in DNS. Let's start discussing the next question. Here we are going to discuss very small question, UK Data Protection Act. Now, as we know that whenever we define any new rule in India, so most of those rules or the part of those rules we basically borrow from UK or US or some already developed country where they already experimented with these rules. So for example, Indian Constitution, we borrowed many of the parts of Indian Constitution from US, French, uh, then USSR. Now we don't have USSR. Now we have Russia. In 1991, USSR is dismantled. So let's just start discussing. So this particular rule basically came in power in 1998 in UK. Now let's just discuss what are the provisions provided under this rule. So basically, if we look after this, it states UK data protection means one cannot access data without your permission. So use fairly and lawfully. So if we sign up somewhere and if we are providing mobile number and email ID, so those companies are responsible to handle it with care. Use for limited or specifically stated purpose. So if I am providing my email ID for some sign up purpose only, then they are not allowed to use or forward it to any third party without my consent. Used in a way that is adequate, relevant and not excessive. Accurate information kept for no longer than is absolute necessary. So if I am a user with some company for 6 months, then after 6 months they are not allowed to keep my record. Then same way handle according to People's Data Protection Act. So some rules are already given here, and those rules, those standards or those protocols one company should follow. If company do not follow those protocol, then government or some audit based company directly going to cancel their license. Keep safe and secure. So we should take proper security measures, antivirus plus enough experienced administrator who can secure our database. We should also make sure that SQL injection is not applicable on our database, and many other things like some points which we already studied in network security. So how basically one can attack and many other things. Not transferred outside the European Economic Area without adequate permission. So if company is basically working in Europe only, then they are not allowed to send those data to any third party which does not belong to Europe or that territory. Now next, I have listed out few points, that is how legally and ethical and what is unethical. So for example, there are many sensitive, for example, someone's medical records. So as you can see, ethnic background, political opinion, religious belief. So one should not hurt anyone's religious belief or health record or sexual health or any criminal record. So if a criminal person who basically detained for some stealing of some data or something, and he already done with his punishment, so we should not make his criminal records public, because if we make it public, then it is very less chances that he can again start with a normal life, and again that person tilt towards the criminal ways only. So we should give everyone a way or a chance to again start with a normal life. So for that reason, we should not disclose anyone's personal information or some sensitive information, for example religions, health, sexual health and criminal records and many other things. So I hope things are quite clear here. If you have any doubt, you can just mention it in a comment section. As soon as I read those comments, I'll definitely go revert back to the same. Thank you.